Hey Jon, this right here is a video letter coming 20 years from the future filled with advices that I wished that I had when I was 16 years old. Hold on, don't get up quite just yet. I know you probably have a mountain to climb or a rail to slide or something like this, but just take 10 minutes to just listen to this because I have a lot of things that I've learned over the past 20 years. So take a second, listen, and you'll have just as much fun, be able to live a way smarter life. I'm going to be totally realistic in this letter. I know I probably can't stop you from buying Lambos and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's true. You're actually gonna own some of the coolest cars in the world. And yes, you will actually forget to check whether the tax is paid on the brand new Lambo you just bought. And when you realize that you have to pay 78,000 euros, you're gonna fall off your chair because you already maxed out your finances. So if you wanna try to avoid things like that, take a second, listen, hopefully learn a thing or two. And since we're on the subject of cars, let's continue with that, so hopefully I can keep you interested for more than 2 minutes. You are gonna make way more money than you could ever dream of, well, that you can dream of right now. And what's the point of making money and not buying a Lambo if that is what you really dream of? So I'm not telling you not to do it, but I have a couple things that you could, well, do differently. Be smarter, please. Have fun cars. But instead of trying to figure out, can I afford to buy this car? Think about how much money do I think I'm gonna lose on this car for the next year or two or however long I own it. So sometimes it might actually be better to buy a more expensive car than buying like a slightly cheaper one and then tuning the hell out of it, because next to nightclub bills, this is going to be the #1 thing in the next 20 years that you spend stupid money on. I know you're probably going to ignore my advices on tuning because I know you love your thing special. So if you really have to tune it, make sure you do it with a good tuning company. I know that if you stick to Stedman Motorsports, they will never disappoint. They never have, never will, but there's so many terrible companies out there. So if you do tune cars, choose your companies wisely. And something I've realized over the past few years, I know you love things that's 110% and you'll never stop until it's there. But if you can learn how to do things 90%, then everything's gonna be that much easier because no one's gonna notice those last 10%. And usually those 10% are 90% of the time and money you spend on a build. So if you can figure out how you can live with yourself and just doing things 90%, you'll save so much money, you'll save so much time, and you'll have so much more fun doing it. So try to do that. I know it's hard, but try. And I know that you are impatient. If you want something, you want it now. You cannot wait. But if you can learn how to be a little more patient, you can have so much more fun doing all of this. Because sometimes you're gonna end up buying a car and then you're tuning it and you can't really afford it. So you have to sit there and kind of like duck that email with an invoice you have to pay because you're waiting for an invoice to come in from a sponsor. And if you can just wait a little, kind of wait a couple months before you start. So that way you can kind of avoid all the uncomfort that stressed finances mean. In the future, you are gonna be a part of this thing called Gumble 3000. You might have heard of it already. It's this car rally across the world. It's rock stars, sheiks, and all these cool people. Believe it or not, one day you're gonna be a regular on this rally. I know you probably don't think so now, but it's actually gonna happen. But with this, you are gonna try to create the most insane cars in the world, which means you're probably gonna end up setting an unrealistic building time frame for this, which is gonna mean that you're gonna work day and night for the last month before the rally, and sometimes not even finish the car before the rally. But being able to go on a rally like this, you shouldn't have to do that being totally exhausted and not having slept for a month. So again, if you can tune a car to 90%, you're gonna be able to chill for the last week leading into Gumble 3000. So again, patience. Generally, do what you want to do, because I can't change you, I know that. But if I can just change like 3% of making you a bit smarter, it's just gonna be that much better. So that is my one thing. Be smarter with cars. I do realize that I'm having a very, very hard time living as I'm learning, because I have a stupid car out in the garage, but at least now I'm doing it a bit smarter. And by the way, I have one very, very important advice. Do not sell your RS6. You're gonna build this crazy, crazy RS6. Do not sell it to Holland, because it's gonna suffer a terrible fate.
De politie is nog druk bij Audi RS6. Ja, mevrouw Lust dat deze auto op die manier naar verloren is gegaan.
So keep that RS6 DTM that you're gonna build. I know that you hate to listen to advices when it comes to cars. I just know that. So let's move over to something that I think you might listen to a little more. And that's girls. I think I can hopefully give you a couple advices on girls. I know you, at this point, you think that you're a cute guy and you expect girls to come and talk to you, but you need to realize that girls, they're not dangerous. It's not dangerous to go up and talk to them. They will always, always, always like a funny, confident guy over like a shy, cute guy. It doesn't matter, like you stand there like, oh yeah, hopefully the girls are gonna come. They're not gonna come like that. You need to figure out how to get more confident in yourself and not be afraid of girls, basically. That'll be much better for you. In the future, things are gonna work out anyway. I'm sitting here in this incredible house and I just got married to this super hottie.
Still here.
If you would see her now, you would probably think you're in a dream. So don't worry, it's all gonna work out. Just have fun and live your life and don't worry so much about girls. If it happens, it happens. One thing though, do not get married before you're 30, because if you do, that means that will probably mess up my chances with the lady here. So stick to the plan, but worry less. So let's move over to something that I think is one of the most interesting, fascinating things I have learned in the last 20 years. Let's talk about parents.
Morning.
You probably don't think that your parents understand you. They don't have your dreams of supercars, yachts, and world domination. So how could they give you advice? That might be true in some aspects, but they are smarter than you. They have everything more figured out than you do. So if they tell you something and they really mean it, at least take a second and think about, do they actually have a point? Because that can really help you avoid the most stupid things you're gonna do. Because what you don't know now, that I actually know now, is that when you think they don't get you because you are not satisfied until you're winning at all aspects of life, is that they are the ones that are winning at all aspects of life.
That's good.
See, the older I get, the more I realize that winning in life is not really, it's not about cars and boats and that stuff at all. You probably haven't even started thinking about boats. It's of course, it's super nice to have these things, but if you're not happy in general life, which, to get these things, you have to stress a lot, and maybe it's more important not to have them if you can't get them without having fun while doing it. I know for a fact that probably your happiest time in the next 20 years is gonna be when you're up at night in Aura building a jump, and it's probably like snowing, but it's kind of too warm, so it's rainy, snowy, but you're building a jump with your friends and you have no worries. So what I'm trying to say here is that things that might seem like they're not important are actually the things that make you the happiest inside. Of course, it's easy for me to say this with the house and the car and stuff now, but I think maybe you have to go through that in order to realize what really kind of makes a difference. So just try to take a second and think about, when are you the happiest? What do you do to become the happiest? And not kind of just, oh yeah, this world, cars are supposed to be success and happiness, so that's what I'm gonna do. Take a second, think about what makes you happy. It doesn't matter if it's out picking blueberries or building a jump in the rain or whatever it is. Do what makes you happy, not what you think should make you happy. Because in most cases, those things are things you do to impress other people, and that might be fun for 5 minutes, and then you're like, oh, whatever. In order to get all these things that you think you want, you're gonna have to do a lot of work, a lot of stress, and a lot of emails. You're gonna hate emails. And what I'm trying to say is that maybe you can find a balance where if you think about what you want, you can probably ignore a couple things, so you can do a few less emails and maybe live a little more like your parents. They wake up in the morning, they have a good coffee, they go for a walk with a dog, and they're just smiling and feeling good. Whereas you're gonna wake up at 5 in the morning and be like, I have so many things to do. And I think you're gonna have less things to do, have just as much fun, do just as many crazy things. But look at your parents a little bit. They actually figured out life, I think, a lot more than you do. The older I get, the more I realize this. So if I do another video in 20 years, I'm probably gonna think that I haven't figured out this when I'm doing this video. I actually have one great example that I'm actually improving. I'm learning and not just telling you what to do. This summer, I had a Lamborghini Urus on order. It was about to be delivered. And then I kind of realized that I have so many things going on. I was getting married a few months ago, by the way, and we were renovating this house, and there was just so many things going on in my life. And then I was like, what is it gonna mean if I get this? It's gonna mean that I have to transport it. There has to be bank transfers, there has to be insurance papers, and a lot of things around it. And then I was kind of thinking, is it gonna be worth it? In the end, I'm like, no, I just wanna have a quiet, nice summer and enjoy it. And now when summer's coming to an end, I can tell you I didn't miss the car at all. So for the first time in my life, I actually made a smart decision where I realized that more is not gonna make me happier, but having time to enjoy things is probably a better choice. And it's the first time that actually we're smart like this. It feels great. I just wish I would have tried it maybe 15 years earlier, because you're too young to be that smart this soon. But two kind of things to wrap up the parents and family aspect. One, your parents kick ass because they don't live life to impress anyone else. They live life for them. And that is something that is too rare in this world. So if you can try to move in that direction, that'd be great. And number two, you are gonna buy your dad a Porsche. You're gonna have a lot of cars too, so it's not like you're just buying him, but you're gonna buy it and he's gonna absolutely love it, and you should get it because yeah, he loves that thing. But what he loves even more is spending time with you. So try to be a little bit better at spending time with your parents instead of doing stupid stuff around the world. Oh yeah, by the way, you're not gonna believe me now either, but those cross-country ski trips that you absolutely hate and you think they're useless because you want to go jump on skis instead, you're gonna love them. I know you don't believe me, but wait 20 years to see. Spending an afternoon in the sun on cross-country skis with your family is fantastic.
It's so nice though, like in the last 10 years, maybe 15, I'd want to say that I was not mature enough to appreciate these kind of things.
So since we're talking about parents and family, let's just move over quickly to school. I know this is not the one thing that interests you the most, but let's do a quick one, and I can hopefully tell you a couple things. I want to tell you a couple things. I know that you think that school is just boring. All you want to do is ski and do cool stuff and skateboard and all these things. You're actually not going to graduate, so it's not that important. Yeah, you're not going to use your grades ever either. And you're not even going to look at grades from people that you hire into the companies you start. So you don't think school is important, but there are a couple things that are really good in terms of school. So think about school as learning how to learn and not really about what you're learning. Because 90% of it you're never ever going to use. There are, however, a couple things that you are going to use. One, languages. Can you please focus in language class? I would love to know how to speak French, German, and Spanish. If you could do that, that would be fantastic, because when you're younger, you learn quicker. And instead of me trying to figure out how to learn Spanish in a slow way, when I could be out on a jet ski, it'd be much better if you learned it when you have to be in school anyway. So spend a lot of time on languages. That's my number one school advice. And number two, I know they're much better at this in the US, but try to figure out how to get less afraid of speaking in front of a crowd. Being able to do that will give you so many benefits in the future, because it's always good to be able to do that, even if you're talking to a camera, if you are having an event and you have to say welcome to everyone, if you're doing a presentation for a product and on stage. I'm actually going to do some big presentations. You are going to make some big presentations in New York in front of, a huge crowd.
Can you believe that the stuff we just shot all fits in this bag?
So you are going to learn, but if you would start learning earlier, then you will get even better. And that's the one thing I wish I was better at earlier in my life. And I think, could be wrong, but I think that could actually help with being less afraid of talking to girls as well. So maybe that's more motivating than the other parts. And number three, economics, finances, like organization. It'd be great if you can figure out how to get better at that, because if you know if you are completely broke or if you're rich, that will make a huge impact on your general mood. So try to get better at learning how to keep things under control in like an Excel sheet. If you could figure out Excel, that'd be great, because nowadays we have this thing called an iPhone, and I always use the calculator there to figure out everything, and I think it's more efficient in this program called Excel. That would be great if you could focus on. And then one last thing I want to tell you about school. In school, I know that you worry about being the cool kid, being friends with the cool kid, and you're constantly kind of like, trying to fit in there. And I can tell you that whoever's cool now, in 20 years, they're probably not the cool kids or cool people. So my advice is to just not worry so much about being cool in school. It is really not important, because it won't matter later in life kind of whatsoever. So just relax, have fun, be nice to everyone. I've watched these like teenage movies and kids are super mean. Don't be mean, be nice to everyone and relax. Since we are on the subject of school, let's talk a bit about business. I know you probably don't think of businesses quite yet, but in the future you are going to start quite a few businesses, and some are even going to be very successful.
I came in, I'm like, oh, did I help start this company?
So I have a couple advice that I want to tell you before you get into all these things, because that is, again, it's going to make your life more pleasant. It's going to create the same results, probably better, but you're going to have much more fun doing it. 1, you are gonna fail miserably on your first business attempts. You're gonna think you know it all, it's sweet, everything's gonna be great, and then 6 months later, all the money you put in is gonna be gone. So my advice is make sure to spend as little money as possible on your first business attempt. When you find an idea and you're like, yes, I need to do this, try to take maybe 3 weeks and wait. And if the idea is as good 3 weeks later, then go for it. But I know from experience that I get really excited and I start things without really kind of taking the time to figure out whether I really want to do this or if it was just like a 5 a.m. too excited in the morning type idea. Number 3, find the right partners. You're gonna find a few people that you think are great and they are not gonna be great. But you're also gonna find a few people that you can trust 100%, and they are most likely gonna be very different from you. They're gonna be organized, structured, and I think finding a person that complements your skills is maybe the most important aspect in trying to create a company. 4, don't listen to people when they tell you that your idea is terrible. I've heard that a lot of times, and then I've had people say, when you said that, that sounded like a terrible idea. And that has turned into a big business that runs super well. So if you take these 3 weeks to try to think about whether it is a good plan, if you still think so, go for it no matter what people say. Of course, some are gonna be bad, but that's just the nature of business, but quite a few of them are gonna be good. So believe in yourself. 5, make sure to get better at appreciating the people around you, the people you work with, the people that make things happen. You're gonna come to run a ski event in Åre, and the first couple years it was we gave like super hospitality to all the skiers that came in. There was champagne and like all this and this, and the people that worked on the event, well, I wasn't very good at taking care of them, but we ended up running this event for 11 years, and the last couple years we had the same hospitality for the people working as for the people that came to ski. So with that said, I think I learned that if people are excited to work with you, then it's going to be much better. You're always going to be critical on what everyone does, but if they do good stuff, always remember to tell them that they're doing good stuff. And 6, this is going to be a hard one for you. Try not to get obsessed with little details. I know that over the past 10 years, I spent way too much time being frustrated, like, why isn't this like this? Why isn't this like this? And usually there are tiny details that they don't really matter, but if you can figure out systems to put in place in order to make them better, it's way more efficient than just being frustrated. 7, this is something that Yanni's dad Richard taught me. He told me, don't ever reply to a text, email, or whatever it may be just when you get it if it's a bad one. If you get a text and it like, you're so pissed off, give it a day, then reply the next day, because then you're gonna have time to think about it and relax and probably answer in a more constructive way. It's a fantastic advice. And 8, and final advice on businesses. Be realistic with time required for projects. You're gonna have like 1 million ideas. And if you would do all of them, it would mean that you wouldn't have enough time to eat, breathe, or do anything, which is kind of almost where I am at this point. But I've tried to get better at sitting down like, okay, if I do this, what does this mean in work, reward, and all this? And yeah, just be a little more realistic with time and don't say yes to everything. Enough business, let's move over to sports. You are gonna absolutely kill it in skiing, which I think you kind of already figured out. So I don't have that many advices, but I have a couple things that I kind of wish that I had done differently over the past 20 years. 20 years later, well, from the time you are, is that the time of me skiing professionally that I enjoyed the most was when I was living in Åre and I was building jumps. Kind of at night, they weren't the best jumps, but I was able to ski every day on the same place, and that that meant that I improved the most. And then I kind of started traveling more, and different jumps means that it's harder to learn. And yeah, basically, I want you to kind of think about what makes you improve your skiing the most, and do more of that. Don't do what everyone kind of expects you to do, like, oh, like it's sweet to go ski Val d'Isère and Whistler and all this, and you're gonna end up traveling a bit too much and skiing not enough. So be better at being realistic and sitting down and be like, what are the things that I can do that help me improve as a skier the most? You're gonna be good at this, but you can be better. Like as an example, a person that was better than you was your friend Andreas Hotveit. He built a park at home in his little place in Norway, and you're gonna be jealous of this park. You're like, God, that's like the perfect setup. He can groom the jumps every night, and instead of being jealous and think about like, yeah, but we can't do that in Norway, don't be afraid. Like if you wanna do it, move somewhere where you can do it, because that is the one thing I kind of wish that I did, but I didn't change anything. I kept doing what I was doing. And yeah, try to not see limitations and do the things you really want to do. And in the next 10 years, even though I didn't do what Andreas did, I ended up winning quite a few X Games medals, but they're all bronzes. Or not all of them, but too many bronzes, not enough golds. Yeah, I guess I'm an idiot. I mean, what am I thinking? I'm going to a beach club in Gotland and spending 3-4 weeks partying all summer. Shouldn't I be training on a trampoline to get better at jumping? Like, how did I think that that was a smarter choice? So advice here is that if you want to get better, you're not going to get better from just doing everything. You have to choose, what do you like the most? And I can tell you firsthand that you're not going to be happier by partying a bunch. Sure, go party for a little bit, that's fun. I mean, you do have to try to get some girls, but you really enjoy improving. So spend more time on trying to figure out how to be the best skier you can be, and a little less time on beach clubs. And one thing that I can tell you, but you probably won't listen because I don't know how to do that, but try to enjoy success and victories a little bit more. Don't worry about what happens next and blah, 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 blah. Try to learn how to enjoy success. And last advice in sports is to move forward and try to improve or quit. Because if you stop improving, you're gonna hate it and you're probably not gonna get good at it. And then you might stick around and do what you're doing because you think that it's a safe thing to do and you have some income from it. And I've been pretty good at like, okay, I want to do this instead. Yeah, sure, that's not the normal way to do it, but I believed in it. I could have been even better. So my advice would be to try to not be afraid to leave what you're doing and do something else if that is what you want to do. Because if you're doing something you don't like, you're going to start sucking really soon and no one's going to pay you to do it. But if you do something you love, chances are very high that you're going to be successful and that the finances will follow in that aspect as well. And then we're almost to the end here, so have a little more patience, but I want to bring up probably one of the most important advices that I can give you, and that is at age 33, I stopped drinking alcohol. Sure, I have a glass of champagne here and there, and I did party a little bit on my own wedding, but I think that's okay. But in general, I don't go to nightclubs anymore, and I don't wake up hungover, and I feel just a million times better. I don't spend stupid amounts of money on parties because we all know that you can't do things halfway. If you order a bottle of champagne, you order 50. And that's how you're kind of wired. But not doing this, there's just so many positive things that comes with it. You have more time, you wake up and like life is good. You're not hungover. You don't wake up having said or done stupid things. And yeah, there's a lot of positive things with not drinking. And at your age, you think it's really important what people think of you, and you think that, wow, like if I order 50 bottles here, like these people here and maybe the nightclub owner, he's gonna think I'm really cool. Totally worth it. Do not order 50 or 100 bottles of champagne. Those are like the stupidest thing you are gonna do in your life. So try not to do that. You will probably blow about €1 million on parties across the world in the next 20 years. So ask yourself, would you rather want a house or villa like this, or a house in Lombok, or a Bugatti Veyron? Whenever they come out, they're about $1 million. So if you try not to do this, you could have this instead. If you think about it, I hope you are smart enough to make smarter future life decisions. So that's almost the end of the advices that I have, and I hope that you can listen to a few of them. I mean, you're gonna do well even though you don't listen to any of this, because I'm sitting here in this incredible house. Yep. That is your house, or my, or yours, however we say it. So either way you're gonna do fine, but if you're smarter, you could maybe have more of these. You could buy your parents a house like this. And yeah, what I'm trying to say is that just avoid the stupid stuff and you can have more of the good stuff and more fun, be happier, and generally enjoy life more. So I hope that maybe you can show that these advices to some of your friends, maybe put it on YouTube so people can watch it and hopefully maybe take in a thing or two. But for now, it's time for me to say over and out because I need to go work some more because I still haven't learned how to relax, but at least I've learned how to find a better balance so I have more time to enjoy it. And I am gonna go outside and wash a G-Wagon. Yep, you're gonna have a G-Wagon in the future and you're gonna cut the roof off it. So you're never gonna be a super smart person, but at least you're gonna think twice or you're gonna think 10 times about what actually happens if you do it before you do it. So you can still be that crazy person that I know you love to be, but do it in a smarter way. So ciao and over and out from the future. And I hope you take my advices because I would love to be able to speak Spanish when I wake up tomorrow, if that can happen. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking through me on these advices and that I was not being too much of the boring parent that didn't get it. But then again, parents are usually the one that gets it. We're just a bit slow to pick it up. Over and out from Marbella.